on red, Rogue Warriors on blue. Both of these teams have played. Both of these teams have taken a loss early in the season. We're going to see what gets let through because, again, Akali, Yone actually banned away against Rogue Warriors.
This is super interesting because everyone has been banning Yone away from the likes of Forge. He must have a very good reputation on this champion. And looking at the bans right now, one champion that is open is the Pantheon. Just like we mentioned, both Haru and Karsa do gravitate toward this pick quite a bit. Especially, I think, Karsa, because he's never been like the farm up carry style of jungler. He's much more about the tempo. So Pantheon has been a huge pick for him. It's kind of sad that we don't get to see him play this. Now what's open is the likes of the Taliyah Alistar combo that we've been seeing a lot of teams run, or the Taliyah Renekton. That's been kind of like the go-to for a lot of these teams. But color me wrong, actually, we're not going to see either of those picks. It's going to be the Kaisa picked up, much like the LWX.
But Caster on the Graves, something a little bit confident. And yeah, Jackie Love has a world skin for this one, right? I'm also just surprised to see the Zoe first pick for Rogue Warriors, when a lot of teams, it's either been jungle or AD carry that fits this slot.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of teams actually trying out the poke type of composition, and indeed, this is what we're going to see right here. Yep. It's going to be double AP here, but it's very easy to follow up with the likes of Jhin. And I think what this composition allows you is, it's a composition that I think a lot of teams lower in the rankings will try against the teams that are higher up in the rankings. Because if in a poke composition, it's just about chucking spears. If you land something, mechanics don't really matter, rotations don't really matter, you can just win out of the blue. So we have seen a lot of these sort of poke compositions being selected when you expect the team to be slightly lower on the ranking.
Well, we've got poke composition, very plain to see, with Jhin like facilitating that. Top Esports on the other side. That's a very standard team fighting comp of what we remember from teams, like JDG. So we've got two very different drafts so far.
I think this is Warhorse saying that 369, you're going to play Ornn until you're good at it. Because in the recent drafts, what we've been seeing is Top Esports have been forcing this team fight style of composition, and even you can see Knight having a laugh right there. 369 had an abysmal Ornn performance last split. His win rate was below 40% on this champion. So it's kind of interesting to see Top Esports take this out right here. I think what they're saying is that, hey, we're going to force ourselves to be proficient here. It's going to be front to back. It's going to be double AD carry. And this really isn't Top Esports style, but they're going to try it.
No, why not? I mean, you mentioned the new addition from FPX over to Top Esports now with Warhorse. So they're just banning anything that can kind of bully out the Ornn, in the melee matchup. Volibear, the Renekton that also wins the lane. While Rogue Warriors are getting rid of some of that AP threat, also the versatility of something like the Twisted Fate, now cornering around Top Esports.
Still a lot of options open here. I think Victor would be one of the picks. A little bit slower in lane, but it works really well with this front-to-back type of team comp. I would definitely expect something like the Orianna to be on the books as well. For the likes of Top Esports. No, Knight is not going to get a lot of priority in lane, but he will be able to fill in that teamfight role. And if Top Esports want to try out compositions, I think that is the pick that they should go for. In the meantime, Rogue Warriors are going to get some more disengage, basically. They're going to get the Galio to kind of zone people out. And we have seen the Mordekaiser be used as a counter for the likes of Ornn, though the Aatrox has been the more preferable pick in the LPL.
That's true, because Bellow's Breath can cancel the Death Realm. It's always like an etchy kind of ult. So, it's fickle. They're going to go for the Aatrox instead. And yeah, we have that disengage. We have the ability to create the space with the Galio and the Aatrox with the poke comp that Rogue Warriors set up, plain and simple. But now, Clement, there you go. There's control in the mid lane. We're going to scale if we're Top Esports.
Oh, this is so alien to see from Top Esports. This is not the composition that they play whatsoever. I'm very curious to see how they execute this and how they play around Drakes. That's going to be the main issue for me, because Top Esports, from what we've seen of them in the past, they are actually very lane dominant, and they like to play around their mechanics and lead them into skirmishes that way. They are very suffocating when ahead, but I wouldn't say they have the cleanest macro or the best understanding on how to play team fights. And like we said at the start of the show, it's all about trouble at the front office. Can they actually solve their problems with 369? Can he have a above 500 win rate on the Ornn for a season?
We definitely set this segment up properly, because we're now going to see the front office in action. And if it's as much of a hassle as, like Gordon Ramsay walking through, like, what is this? because Top Esports need to show us that this front line works out for the comp. Otherwise, the comp doesn't work out in general. We're the side of Rogue Warriors. I know you can see the name tags on there with AHQ over the Rogue Warriors logo. I'll just leave that there. But at the very least, the poke comp talked about. This is what you want to see from a comp to, as Clement said, you know, force out some of the better teams and alienate players to get the advantages. We go on to Summoner's Rift for Top Esports and Rogue Warriors. Who is the better team right now? A lot of people will be asking. This Top Esports against Suning didn't look too great. Rogue Warriors trying to force out with what we saw against WE. This will be fun. Clement Chu and myself will take you into this one as we go into Summoner's Rift.
There, they're coming. Okay. Be patient. Look at this. Look at the sky. Oh, it's beautiful.
I know there was a TSM in there. God. There's always... I want to tell a story to the audience before we get to this one. There is a man I met who... Every time I went to the arena, I've been to the arena 3 times, he's the only person who shouts out TSM. He feels like it's his job. And dude, all the best to that man. But
dude, the
God.
Casters absolutely hate him, man. They trash him so hard on the Giant side.
Wow.
It's like, TSM didn't even go to Worlds.
That's probably
what are you talking about?
I don't want to trash him. I think it's bold. I think it's very bold. But welcome to Summoner's Rift once again. We've got a very unlikely Top Esports comp that we talked about with a poke comp from Rogue Warriors with red side starts for both. And Clement, I want you to walk me through how Top Esports operate in this laning phase and how they can stall this game out to get towards that mid to late game stage.
Yep, so when we've seen this sort of front to back composition, the most important piece is to make sure that the enemy team can't actually go into your jungle. So jungle defense is going to be very important. I do expect a lot of defensive pinks coming in from their side. And they do have the ability to follow up quite easily with the likes of Kai'Sa. You know, she can killer instincts into these fights. But in general, this type of a team composition is going to be very, very slow. The Zoe is going to have priority in lane, going to be able to influence what happens in around the river and into the early areas of the jungle as well. So it is about how Top Esports can maintain a defensive posture.
As Chocho goes in for the engage there, but a sustain out of draw in this bottom lane. And I'm not sure who's going to hit 2 first, but it is actually the Rogue Warriors bottom lane, but Justice Punch was already used. Clement, I want to pay attention to something in the jungle I noticed. It was a leash start from Rogue Warriors bottom lane. They still hit 2 first and gave Haro the experience advantage, while you can see on the other side, it was actually a solo start of the red buff for Kai'Sa.
Yep, and I do favor Rogue Warriors' overall split of the map a little bit better here. They're going to force 369 onto a lot of pressure, so he really can't take any trades at this point. He's going to have to play incredibly safe. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, that actually opens up a lot of things.
Yeah, too far forward. Curlin just kind of regrets his decision to walk into an Alistar.
Now, that definitely should not have happened, judging by the fact that Cullen was also running with boots right here, so he should have had a lot more control over his distance, and he might pay for it.
Let's see, though, because Kai'Sa's here. Ward's going to be placed down. Curlin going to get hit with end of the line. The damage, the Void Seeker as well. He walks past Smokescreen and runs as a quick draw away from Kai'Sa. The Ward will now spot him out in future, but it's damage added onto the flashless AD carry.
Okay, I guess caster curse is just happening everywhere. Things not really going as planned on Rogue Warriors' side. This is the thing about casting Top Esports games, is they're such good players that a lot of times they just outplay. And it's like, oh, okay, that happened. Sure. Top Esports leading. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, the lanes across the board now are doing pretty nicely, right? You know, Victor's holding out for now. Top lane with the Ornn as well. So at what point across top and mid lane, Clement, I was going to ask, do we start seeing these advantages come out? What should we look for, starting with the Aatrox and the Ornn matchup?
In that matchup, it's very favored in the LPL for the Aatrox, and the way this works out is that typically the Aatrox is able to have lane priority the entire way through. He's able to push in, he's able to help your jungler get to places faster. However, in the team fights, it's a lot more difficult to execute on the side of the Aatrox. He does have to find flanks into the team fights rather than just going straight forward, because Ornn just bodies him that way. So it's a bit of a different style than usually what we're familiar with from Ziv. Ziv is much more, we basically call him the punching bag.
You have said that many times, yeah.
Yeah, he absorbs a lot of pressure, and that's what he's there for. And I want to see if he can actually play the flanking style correctly, too.
True. I think crucially when you're that Aatrox pick, you pulled into the Ornn, you have high hopes from your team. I think Forge as well on tonight, another matchup we talked about should be winning. Starting to bully out on tonight, but he's got the sustain, he's got the tier 2, and he's actually trading pretty well on Forge. The wave pushing into him, and Knight's managing to hold CS.
Yeah, and I do want to mention why this Victor was taken over the likes of something like the Orianna, which we see comboed a lot more with the Kai'Sa. Is I think the Victor early on actually provides a lot more wave clear. So especially if you're going up against poke compositions, you do want to minimize the times that you're dealing with the minion wave, and that's why this was taken.
Draw moving mid though, Clement. Haro's here as well, level 5 on the Nidalee. Doesn't really make much difference if he has 6, but going to be adding a bit of pressure, and Draw going to help him clear out the wave so that he can keep up.
Kind of expected out of this matchup. We do see the Zoes getting slight leads here, but Knight is still hanging on very, very well in this matchup, and he is comfortable enough to start to work on to the Saracen Brace. Good scaling item, and in the 11.1 patch, you no longer have to hold on to 2 Sapphire Crystals, so it does make your build a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, a much better line as... for Knight, holding CS, they're only down a little bit. A good sign to start off here for top esports. Dragon's going to be started as well by Karsa, because you notice that Haro was, I believe, spotted out at one point in that topside brush. A couple of wards placed down, but more crucially, he's stuck around trying to find a window into Knight into the mid lane, so he slowed down his pathing and actually just given Dragon away.
Yeah, that was a really good find on the part of top esports. They definitely understood that the bot lane from Rogue Warriors was not present. Karsa just goes in and sinks that one out, and Chocho is in trouble.
Yeah, he gets knocked up, but he's not going to get pulverized back into action. Excuse me, headbutted. They just clear out the ward and leave, while Haro is going to start on this top side red. So we're swapping the map, we're lining it down. This is going to be pretty good for the bottom lane of top esports, but ultimately we already talked about the pressure that's going to be on 369.
Yep, this is what you expect out of the Ornn and Aatrox matchup. Your top side is definitely going to get invaded on, and the Aatrox is going to be able to leave lane. However, top esports are thinking about splitting up the map 4v2. There is no teleport on Forge.
And Draw flashes in, 2-man pulverize underneath the turret. The Chaos Storm layers down. It's first blood and a second for top esports.
With turret platings to boot, that was a very well chained sequence. Great use of tempo there from top esports. They held out in that blind spot area for such a long time. If I'm Rogue Warriors, I definitely would have expected Karsa to have reset after taking the Drake right there. Instead, they actually just out-tempo played them right there. Waited until Forge, I think he burned the teleport and just went straight for the 4v2.
What's the response, right? 369 up in this top side, and it looks like the Rift Herald is being started that Haro's going to take. Bottom lane moving up though, Clement, so can he do it in time is going to be the big question.
It does look like with proper zoning, they should be able to take this one. However, they are looking for extra. They're looking for the kills here.
X-Flash from Draw going in, but they found Karsa over the wall. He's just dead. Rogue Warriors move fast, move quick, move first. And it's another kill going over this time to RW. They get the Herald as well, and all 5 members make this a reality.
Yep, very good play right there. A little bit unfortunate from Karsa. I don't think he should have tried and poked that, especially with Ziv out of lane already. So that was definitely going to be a kind of a cheeky steal if Karsa ever found a way into that. And that was good equalization play from Rogue Warriors. I think the question right now is, do they actually just drop the Herald early into the top side? No, they're actually doing a lane swap. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Not going back toward the bottom side.
I was going to say that, you know, Haro is still moving up here anyway. Let's just see. 369 will be able to clear the wave. Still has Call the Forge God, but the Herald to give some gold into Curlin, who got bullied down before and is actually about 20 CS behind Jaculove on this Kai'Sa. Haro's here. Herald over the wall, and 369 now needs to make a decision.
It looks like they are going to try and funnel gold onto their 2 main carries. We talked about this team as, you know, primarily going to be the jungle and AD carry, carrying most of the work here. And this is exactly what they do. It is going to be a race that I think Rogue Warriors should actually be ahead of.
Well,
yep, one turret.
369 stood top, Clement. He's defended the wave. Turret defended. TP going to be used, though, by Rogue Warriors. And Jackie Love will get the plate in the end, but you're right. Maybe it is a win. Ziv doesn't have World Ender, but using the TP, he'll be able to defend the turret. Cullen coming back up to this top side with one plate left remaining. A lot of wave clear out of early on.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, this is Rogue Warriors trying to power up Cullen while basically leaving Ziv on his lonesome, because Aatrox really isn't a champion that functions well without gold, and with Ziv getting zoned out early on, it's actually quite detrimental to his play patterns later on. So overall, like, if this trade continues, I do sort of favor Top Esports' side of the trade, where they basically invalidate one player on the enemy team.
True. And what the what? That was so bad.
Those Krugs look really dangerous, okay?
Oh my god. This is League of Legends. Well, with the flash down caster, does he regret it? Let's find out. This could be a dive club. Javelin toss lands into him as well at half health. The curtain call landing through. It's going to be blocked by 369. The javelin toss lands though as well. Chocho's going in, and Caster dies for his sins. A trade-off by 369. It's called the Forge God. Wants to hit this Gallia, who flashes away as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Is the turret going to stay standing? Is the final question.
Does look like 369 with the red buff is going to have enough HP and wave clear to keep this one alive, but what an embarrassing day for Karsa. I think he was trying to smite. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Probably has, D is for flash, as everyone says. But, yeah. So, using that summoner was not great. He dies in the end as well. While 369 manages to defend the turret. 369's actually not left the top lane at all. So, he keeps defending this turret and making sure that Rogue Warriors can't play off the tempo that we talked about with the compositions, Clement. They want to get this game rolling. They want to use that poke comp. They want to get to the items first.
That definitely has been the case, and now is a good time to see if Rogue Warriors can play around the team fight of Top Esports. We already see Rogue Warriors, Top Esports converging on this point. 369 is going to have the wave push in already, so he can actually start roaming towards the bot lane after this one. And it's going to be about Rogue Warriors actually finding some damage onto the likes of Karsa, most likely, to dissuade this, but they're actually completely behind in tempo here.
Yeah, they're going to be so slow. Ward out on red buff as well as Dragon goes down, and Ziv gets hit pretty damn hard by IG/Jackie Love's own skin. He's got the Gale Force as well, Clement, so his diving is going to get even better. But as that Dragon goes down, as the turret gets hit hard, Top Esports have pushed ahead by 2,000 gold at 12 minutes in the game.
And a lot of this has just been about out-rotating and keeping the top lane tower alive. We saw a really weird back timing coming in from Cullen right there. He goes back just to get his Noon Quiver, and in the process, Top Esports gets a wave there, and they also get a wave bottom. So a lot of this lead is not coming off of mechanics, it's just wave manipulation, and maybe 369 falls here though.
Oh, yeah, is he going to die? Bellows Breath dodges away from the Troll Bubble, and he flashes just in case. He's probably going to die there with the Zoe coming back up with Paddle Star. But Rogue Warriors now might finally be able to break this turret down, while Top Esports are grouping around mid, looking for their own. But just note while I was talking, first turret blood did go down to the bottom lane to Jackie Love, who has been up 30 CS for the first 5-10 minutes of the game.
Yep, they got an early flash onto Cullen, was able to maintain their position in the bot lane a lot longer than Cullen, who has been rotating around the map. He's now sitting in mid. So it's a bit of a weird situation for Rogue Warriors. I feel like what they've over-indexed in is trying to force down that top lane, and just to make sure that the main initiation from 369 is not going to be there, so they can start their siege poke.
All right, Mr. Chu. It's a game where, we've actually got a Zhonya's first for Haro, but it is a game where, Rogue Warriors, do they run out of options here as the game goes on? Is there a window that has to be hit for this comp?
Well, not really. The beauty about poke compositions is you can be behind 5k, 6k gold. As long as you play volleyball better, dodgeball, excuse me. You don't try to hit people in volleyball, at least if you're not supposed to. If you play dodgeball better, then you can come back from any deficit. And this is why it's like the favorite composition for a lot of teams that are lower in the rankings against higher ranked teams. So I think the key is about Rogue Warriors really putting all of their players together. They really need to find those opportunities when they have waves pushing in like this one, where they can use their poke, just like that, find some damage onto JackeyLove, and hopefully make it stick.
And burn him out before the Herald play. Rogue Warriors grouping up here as 5. Look at Knight's positioning, though. The level 11 Victor with Chaos Storm. Doesn't have his mythic item, though. So damage is still going to be favored for Forge, but Knight isn't interested in that. He's just going to push the top wave and clear out, and so that they can set up better for this objective. But no one's really hit it for now. It's just wards placed down, and maybe the Herald goes without hit.
Yep, and we can see Knight with the Death Ray augmented first. Definitely expected that just for the extra wave clear. And right now, what Top Esports are doing is that they're sitting in a very comfortable position where Rogue Warriors never has the opportunity to push them in completely. And now Rogue Warriors are shifting their attention more towards the Herald, trying to get some purchase in that way. So this is the time for Top Esports to kind of respond on what they want to do. They could decide to let it go and continue to scale up, actually. But I don't think they should try to force this one. Not with 369 with no TP and so far away.
Yeah, he's pushing the bottom wave. He's just going to ping that he's going there. Herald given up. The second Herald not as great as the first one, but still the ability to push some of these lanes and extend out the laning phase. The comment with Zoe in the LPL, we've always talked about making mid the extended lane because Zoe thrives so well in a longer mid lane with Fog of War.
Yeah, especially around the terrain on mid lane. That's where Zoe actually finds most of her picks, around the Raptor and around that huge chunk on the right side of the lane. So we can probably expect the Herald to be going down there. That will also mean that Top Esports is not going to have any split pushing potential on the bottom side with this Ornn either. So that should be the next play coming out for Rogue Warriors. We also have the Drake coming up. So I expect the Herald to be dropped relatively quickly, and for Rogue Warriors to try and force Top Esports to defend underneath their own tower.
Because they've all reset for this play. 45 seconds till that dragon comes up, and we've now got a Luden's Tempest on the mid lane as Zoe and Forge. So also note that Knight's got his own too. But there is a tier on top of this Victor as well who has a CS lead. He's 0-0-2 and has a bounty as well, which is quite interesting. I think for a lot of our audience here, they're expecting to see a fight with this item advantage, or at least item matching, I should say, from Rogue Warriors' end. As they push mid, still haven't put the Herald down, but they are first into the river, getting vision control.
Yep, and a couple things we have to pay close attention to is the sides that Rogue Warriors has vision advantage. We can see this entire area Top Esports has to walk through and take a lot of poke in the meantime to secure. Yeah. There goes a Herald. And the second question is, where is the Aatrox going to come from? Because he's still not in a great position here.
For the Forge, though, takes a Q as he goes over the wall. The Herald there, but Call the Forge got the Ram Jam. Hits down, and it's onto Curlin, who is back to the mid lane. JackeyLove moves there as well, but the Deadly Flourish locks him in place. 369 Bellows Breath away from the trouble bubble. The Herald gets the charge, but it doesn't extend the mid lane. Now JackeyLove can come back.
This is really well played by Top Esports. I don't think Ziv needs to show in the front line like this, because if he is showing like this, Top Esports just go straight in. They know they win the front to back, hands down, and they're very willing to engage on that one. So I'm not sure about Ziv's positioning right here. He's not really doing much.
He's not. He's just kind of waiting. Dwell there on the flank for Top Esports end as well. Chocho going to be spotted out. That was a really nice steal from Forge to say thank you for the leash onto the Scuttle Crab. Haru's going to be right into the middle of the river. Rogue Warriors control all the flanking vision. JackeyLove has just come back. Clement waiting for something to happen. Knight's going to get knocked up. Rogue Warriors moving forward. Forge uses the stolen Mythic. As forward they go onto the Dragon. It's secured by a curtain call. Nicely done here from Curlin as forward Rogue Warriors go, but it's a three-man pulverize with JackeyLove moving onto the flank. The Killer Instinct at the ready. Hasn't burnt it yet. JackeyLove wants to pop that ulti onto the back into Chocho. Does the Galio have enough damage with the Winds of War? He does. Curlin now on an island himself at 369 with a limited mana bar. Needs a knock-up. Wants that Bellows Breath to hit hard, and it will. 369 takes down Jin. Chocho at an arm's length for Dwar. Can't get there in time. He's saved by Haro. A 3-for-1. But the Dragon stolen by Rogue Warriors.
So a bit of a Pyrrhic victory coming out from Rogue Warriors. They do stop the Drake train, but that's a lot of gold going over to the carries of Knight and the likes of Kaisa. I really loved how JackeyLove played that team fight. He knew that he could always come back into the fight with killer instinct, so he was holding the mid wave almost the entire time and just waiting for the opportunity. However, Knight is the one that does get caught out here, does have to burn the flash. They can't really tank for this Drake right here, and they do get that stolen away. And afterwards, this is kind of the awkward scenario. Great play by Zor right there. Good gravity field means that Ziv can't walk any further, and they turn around the fight to get the 3v1.
This close call here from JackeyLove. Wins the war, and the smashdown I actually think was what did it. And, you know, we're just going to watch an Ornn assassinate an AD carry, because, of course, that's what he does. Not trying to steal the kill, but
I love that play
day,
from JackeyLove. He doesn't even flash away. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to trade this.
You want to see another one, Clement? Because Cho's dead. Over the wall, killer instinct, and now we're on to Forge. Smokescreen slows him down. The trouble bubble keeps JackeyLove in place for collateral damage. Not even needed. That was a big crit from Kai'Sa, who gets a double kill.
Just overload one side of the map, and this is why Kai'Sa is so coveted in this meta right now, because she can play the pick style and she can play the front to back at the same time. So many teams are first picking Kai'Sa because of that duality, where she can shift in two of the best meta compositions.
She's super strong. I mean, you've got a lethality Kai'Sa with Gale Force already, and after that, a big pick on the top side of the map. They're right in front of Baron. Forge is dead for 10 seconds. What happens now? Because for top esports, they're going to burn this down quick.
Yeah, and they're going to have a lot of trouble actually getting past 369. Top esports trying to turn this fight around. It's going to lose a lot of HP and time.
Yeah, Haro's just going to move up to the top side. Now, Nidalee's passive helps going through these brushes, but Kai'Sa's waiting here. You cheeky devil! Waiting for Haro. Does he die in the process? The flash burnt, but the burn of its own onto Haro as Knight snipes him down. Meanwhile, JackeyLove and 369 here in this mid lane turret, which is taken by Rogue Warriors, but it's a two-man knockup onto Ziv, who goes into the World Ender. JackeyLove pacing away. The Ram Jam again lines it up, and JackeyLove takes down Ziv. The Deadly Flourish misses from Curlin and Chocho as another smash into the air. 369 doesn't die, but he sure hits his skill shots.
Oh, and that's the thing with Aatrox. You can't stand in front of the Ornn. You have to be outside of vision. When you're outside of vision, you actually apply a lot more pressure than in that scenario. 369 very confident in just walking forward, and Rogue Warrior is honestly just overstaying that situation. They are losing members in the top side. There's no reason for them to be greeting for this mid. Like, after they took the mid lane tower, you just run. You just hightail it, get straight out of there. Instead, they overstay, and honestly, Ziv has not been looking great with his positioning on this champion.
Clement, I can hear the ambulance behind your microphone. I hear it being sent for Rogue Warriors, brother, because this game is pretty much done. And after this play, you know, Rogue Warriors get sent in the body bag.
Just run. Just go. Oh, no. They couldn't get around the corner.
It's a shame. I mean, Ziv just takes so much damage, and really nice call the Forge got in there.
Yeah, I checked a lot of Ziv's match histories coming in from the PCS, and Aatrox is definitely not one of those champions that he's particularly familiar in, but it's one of those champions that the LPL really likes to use to punish the Ornn. However, you do know you do have to know how to punish it. It's not as obvious as a lot of people may seem, and that's why I think only the LPL really goes for the Aatrox versus Ornn counterpick a lot of the times.
This time around, you know, it's still 10 CS down. It didn't really win the lane, even though 369 had so much pressure up towards him. He never gave away that turret. He held it for so long in the game, and top esports benefited greatly off that. As JackeyLove gets locked down, with the Baron buff, we may still have a fight as Chocho has to Justice Punch away. Inner turret goes down, Smokescreen slows down. Top esports don't need the fight. They're up 8,000 gold. They have a dragon that leads them to Soul Point. Another trouble bubble lands. Draw's going to block this one. Curtain call. Clement, doesn't seem like the fight was going to kick out, but that curtain call now going to be down.
Yep, no one low HP enough to really be taken down by the execute, and JackeyLove finds another tower on the bottom side. It's going to be a free Drake here as well. Things really going out of control, and what I'm a little bit disappointed about from Rogue Warriors is they never really found a good opportunity to utilize their co-composition. We never saw a sieging scenario where they were lined up in front of the towers, where they were setting up proper vision on both sides. And a lot of it, I think, credit has to go to Knight, because he's been managing these side lanes very, very well, and he's been consistently pushing out the mid wave to the point that Rogue Warriors just never found any opportunity. This is why, you know, in draft I said that I really wanted to see the Victor kind of come out and counter the poke comp.
It was a good sign of control from Knight's end, right? It's not always about the flashy play, but he still plays his lane really well, Clement. I think that's the takeaway for me at very least. For Top Esports here, I mean, they've played each of the lanes really, really well. JackeyLove, probably the most fed member alongside Karsa. But crucially, he has the Typhoon upgrade from Ornn. Knight here going to get locked down, even with the Eye of Luden that he's received as an upgrade. Chocho coming into the flank, but the spear doesn't land, Clement. Right through the middle. There's the ulti from Victor as Ziv for the flank. He's just going to watch his base get destroyed as 369 flashes forward.
The Yakety Sax starts playing for Rogue Warriors. They tried. They definitely did try, but a very good headbutt coming in from Zuo cancels the entire play, and the teleport is wasted from Ziv as well. That was just painful to watch.
Not the first time someone on Rogue Warriors has tried to make a flank while the game is ending. Inhibitor now broken because of the play. Top Esports leaving Knight towards the enemy blue buff to then push in the inner turret top side. Good dodge from JackeyLove, if only just, as 369 can keep absorbing the damage, keeping them all mid.
Yep, and they're going to take the top lane tower for free right here. It's going to be up to Rogue Warriors if they want to engage on this.
I think Chocho could be dead, or maybe it's Ziv who walked forward with his support. Heals up with the thanks of Gore Drinker. Hero's entrance flies on through from Chocho. Is it a bait or not, as Top Esports want to put this one in the can in under 30 minutes flat? 5 members mid, but can't go forward as JackeyLove takes the poke. You said it yourself, Clement. Poke comps can always do well when they're behind, as that's a quick pick onto Knight as well, but Forge can't follow up.
Yeah, not enough skill shots landing on the side for Rogue Warriors, and they really are getting to the point where they're just getting outscaled based on the levels, and they just don't hurt enough to dissuade Top Esports from just standing onto their high ground. So this is going to be a very difficult game for Rogue Warriors, and I think for Top Esports, as long as they let Victor kind of split push in the side lanes, he probably has a Siphon power upgraded already. He's going to be very difficult to catch on. The thing about poke comps is they typically lack engage as well. So, you know, I think it's the side lane push of Knight is just going to be too much for Rogue Warriors to deal with. And Top Esports can do anything they want on the other side of the map.
We also have to remember that, you know, Ornn is just the bane of their existence, right? Stands in front of all the poke that comes from Rogue Warriors, absorbs it all, and is pretty much fine at the end of the day. As Knight, you mentioned, just sitting in this side lane quite nicely. It's a slow burn from Top Esports as JackeyLove's heading forward, but not too far forward. Inhibitor now threatened top side, bottom side needs to be reset. But Clement, we're looking towards those timers, I think, for Top Esports. They want Infernal Soul, or they want the Baron to put this one in the bin.
I just want to mention that we're back onto the Mejai's hype train for Knight. Last split, he built over 60% of his games. He was building a Mejai Soul Stealer. This time around, with Mejai's giving legendary bonuses as well, I think we're going to see a lot more of the Death Note come out from him. It's going to be interesting. Guys, keep track.
Even in the games he lost, right, we still saw Knight was building Darksteel into Mejai's, so a very Knight-esque build, especially when he's 60 CS up. He's now got 3 items when you count it. You expect that thing won't get fully stacked before the game ends. Also across the board, 3 items here with the Renan's Hurricane on JackeyLove with a BF Sword as well.
Very far ahead in terms of the items. And I just want to mention, we have seen Knight play the Victor split push before. He does really like the Banshees. We have seen a lot of Banshees out of this player just for that extra damage onto the towers, that Spellblade proc that it does give you. But right now, he's thinking for blood, and he's thinking about stack.
All right, well, on to Baron for now at the very least with the 2 fed members. Meanwhile, Chocho just dead to the Chaos Storm. The Gravity Field is not a field worth looking as Draw corners them. The Marauder Bull has just run into 3 people, and Ziv is cornered as well. A triple kill for JackeyLove on his world skin, and that's all it'll take. Screw the Baron. Let's just run it home.
Indeed, they're trying to run every single member down. A good love tap onto Haro. Can they chase him? This is the final touches. Haro, if you run away, it is a moral victory for World Warriors. I don't care what the rankings or the standings say.
He's tried his best. At the very least, Top Esports are trying to be a nuisance so he can't go back. Meanwhile, the Nexus is getting burnt down. Chocho, who died first, is there to watch it. And in 29 minutes, Top Esports pull back their reputation after losing to Suning in Game 1 against the Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, and this is Top Esports winning on a composition that we don't really see them play very much. A front-to-back teamfight composition. And I have to say that The crucial difference right here is their laning phase was just way too strong compared to what they picked. We have seen the Zoe versus Victor matchup before. Typically, the Zoe does get priority in lane, is able to get quite a